Hello, and welcome to the first installment of Breaking Through, a show about people, events, and ideas that pull us forward into a balanced and hopefully a better world. I'm your host, W.J. O'Reilly. Greetings, viewers. Welcome. Perhaps we've crossed paths at CNN, ABC, NewsViews, or Hearts and Minds. As the media we know serves up a steady diet of camp and lurid sensationalism, we'll call it the Charlie Sheen effect. Breaking Through aspires to taking us closer to discovering ways of transforming ourselves and the world without harming others or the planet. Anyway, it's something to shoot for, and our hat is off to you who are apparently along for the ride. Daryl Bennett is an author, inspirational speaker, valedictorian of his class at Morehouse College, member of the most recent graduating class at Harvard Law School, and someone that I consider one of a new cadre of young people who are moving into the world not necessarily to score early retirement, but certainly committed to leaving this earth in better shape than they found it. Daryl, welcome to Breaking Through.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, how was your week been?
I had a good week.
Okay, you're not just saying that, are you?
No, I'm not just saying
I don't
that.
want any like grandstanding or made-up stuff right now.
Absolutely
This
not.
is the honest part of the interview.
This is the honest part. All right, well, when we get to the other part, let me know. No, I mean, any time that I get to do what I love to do, and I'm getting the opportunity to really go all over the world, sharing this message of hope, this message of inspiration, this message really quite simply put, that you can be a product of your imagination and not your environment. And so being able to share this message, I teach part-time, I'm going to see my students in a few hours. So it's very exciting to be able to do something that I love to do.
So you're teaching kind of law-related things right now?
Yes, I am teaching law-related things. That's my secondary job. That's I tell my students that my primary job really is to share principles that I believe have helped make me successful. How you turn your education that you're getting in school into a life education. And I think this is something that students across the world really are looking for now, tangible, practical advice on how they can use their school education and the things that they're learning in school for a successful life. And by the way, Bill, I do have a book coming out. So I just want to take a minute to plug that. I have a book coming out, and I share a lot more about how students can begin to use their lessons, their school lessons, to turn into successful life lessons.
Well, I'm in complete agreement with the fact that as a college teacher myself over the years, that students are in school because of what follows school.
Yes.
School, in other words, school is not an end in itself. It's about actually kind of improving your skills, or even just kind of hanging out for a time to kind of discover who you are, so that you can apply those things to getting the thing, becoming more effective and powerful in your life afterwards. And so I would imagine actually that your approach, that those messages that you give them, kind of the meta messages. Now you have the obvious messages that might be the law, related to the law on the one hand, but you're giving them other messages, the messages between the lines. The ones that good and bad parents give their kids.
Yeah.
The messages between the lines, like that life the world is a safe place, or don't even bother going out the front door. It's going to gobble you up.
Exactly.
Those are the meta messages that really probably have the most dramatic thing to do with how people turn out, as opposed to what they learn in the great schools and the bad schools in Queens or Baltimore City or Boston, Mass. Those messages. So I'm really pleased to hear that. I know I was always, I always thought that, I believe that your having an affiliation with a college would be a good thing to do, and I'm glad that you're doing it.
Yeah.
And it is.
Well, that makes two of us. It's an honor to do it at such a young age. The first couple of weeks, I definitely had a few incidents where the students didn't realize that I was a professor. And once I had one security guard who said, he questioned me about 3 minutes before I pulled out my ID, and he said, "Oh, you really are an instructor." So once I got past that first month and the students realized I really wasn't playing instructor, I really am, an instructor, it has been phenomenal. Most people say TGIF, I say TGIM. I can't wait for Monday to get back in front of my students, to be able to share, just more of my life story and more of this message.
Daryl, what do people say when you tell them that you had no interest in being a high-priced Madison Avenue or Wall Street lawyer? Was anyone surprised or upset to hear that, like your mother, for example?
Well, definitely not my mother. My mother has always been one who's told me, follow your dreams, go for what you want to do, live your passion, and the money will come. That's something she said. But I will say, there were many people who definitely told me or, looked at me and said, Daryl, why are you doing something like this? I think most of the people that knew me were not surprised. I mean, in law school, I think, while a lot of my friends were maybe, at parties or doing different things, Daryl was going around the world speaking. And I say this to say, I really was living the life of my dreams even in school.
What countries did you visit while you were in school? While you were in law school, where'd you go?
I was able to go to China, Korea, Israel. And on that note, I'll say my heart really does go out to the victims of all the families who were devastated today in the bombing in Jerusalem. So, I spent time in Jerusalem. Actually, I was there for a month and a half. So, I had a phenomenal time really in law school, getting to go all over the world. Some places I went as part of a delegation, like when I went to Korea. Some places when I went to Israel, I was actually working in a legal clinic, believe it or not. I was doing legal work. So I'm not that far removed from the legal world.
Yeah, Daryl, I know you're in the inspiration business.
Yes.
I mean, it's something that's what you intend to do in your life. That's what you're doing now.
Yes.
How did you get into the business or see yourself in this light? How did you arrive at that decision to be part of the inspiration business, if you could say that?
Absolutely. I think it started at 8 years old, really. That was when I really made the decision my life was going to be different. And I realized this. I was living in Baltimore then. This was before Morehouse. This was before Harvard. This was before any book. But I realized my life was going to be different because I was going to make certain decisions. And that really was the very beginning of my breakthrough. Seeing that at such a young age. And I realized that what I was going to say to crowds around the world really would be secondary to my life example. And so I believe this is even what separates me from many others who go around writing books and who speak on the same messages. Beyond what I'm speaking and writing about, I'm living this thing. And, it's one thing for me to come and tell you, jump out on a leap of faith, do what you love to do, the money will follow. But this is my life. I mean, I moved after I graduated from law school. The day after I graduated from law school, I moved to New York City. No job. I created a job. And so this has been the story of my life. And it started at 8 years old with this real, tangible belief that my life could be different.
Now, I'm actually going to get back to that because I want to find out what were some of the motivations, some of the things that you might have been experiencing at that time when you were, before the age of 8 that might have led you down that path. Yeah. But, who are your inspirational models in the world today?
Yeah, absolutely. I draw inspiration from, a number of people. One is definitely my mother. My mother has always been an example for me, beyond just what she says, her life. My mother was the one who told me at 3 years old, you're going to get a scholarship. I said, scholar who? I didn't even know what a scholarship was. Sure enough, 15 years later, I ended up getting a full scholarship to college. Morehouse College, they actually gave me a full scholarship. So my mother has always been someone, a woman of faith, of courage, and has always told me, you can be better. You can be better. My mother was always the one to say, I'd come home complaining about a class. She'd say, who did somebody get an A? And I knew where she was leading with that. Even if everybody failed that test, if somebody got an A, that means an A was to be had. A second person I would say is Bill Clinton. Definitely. Bill Clinton has been since I was a child. I've really been fascinated by his ability to connect with crowds all over the world. I think his charisma and his ability really to redefine himself as president, as governor, as post-president, phenomenal.
Very good. Now, just back to Morehouse. Martin Luther King Jr. went there. Spike Lee, Calvin Butts, the Abyssinian Baptist Church, great religious leader. Julian Bond, great statesman. To read the list of illustrious graduates of Morehouse is really daunting, to say the least. In some way, I think it plays more powerfully than Harvard's in some ways.
Absolutely.
Now, what part do you see playing in the legacy of Morehouse College?
Absolutely. Well, I think all of those men that you named, and I will say all of those men you named not only went to my college, they were actually lived in my dorm as well, Graves Hall. That was, and I will say that I think the legacy of those men is a legacy of service. And I see myself and I fit in that, one, because I stand on the shoulders of giants. I do believe that a Barack Obama would have been impossible without a Martin Luther King. And a Martin Luther King would have been impossible without a W.E.B. Du Bois and a Booker T. Washington. You know, so there are people who have paved the way. And so I think, one, I fit in that because I stand on the shoulders of giants, and two, because I really do believe that what my life, I've dedicated my life to, is service. And so, you know, I hope to one day be mentioned in the same sentence as those extraordinary people. Absolutely.
You know, we talked earlier about Bill Clinton, you know, one of your inspirational role models. His early life was filled with, great tragedy and uncertainty. Some say that hardship builds compassion. What early hardships may have contributed to your outlook and your compassion for others?
Yeah, that's a good question, because one of the things that I say to people as I really travel across this country sharing this message is that I really tell youth, embrace the challenges you face, and that you are not here despite your challenges. And I think this is key for people.
So what did you go through?
You're here because of your challenges. And I want to say this, you're here not despite your challenges, you're here because of the challenges. And I think this is part of my message, that you are here because of what you've gone through. And for me in my own life, you know, it was living in a trailer park. It was living in Baltimore City, seeing how race played in and how so-called socioeconomic class. I mean, I saw what it was like to be shut out, you know, of the American system. I tell people...
Were you poor
before,
growing up?
Well, no, absolutely not. Because for me, poverty is a state of mind. And this is why I'm where I am today. Because even though I lived in a trailer park, I was never defined by the trailer park. So even though I lived in a state where others might have said it's poverty, because I didn't have that mindset, that's why I've been able to get where I am here today. And this is what I tell people as I've traveled across the world, that you can live in a disparaging situation. We all encounter defeats, but like Maya Angelou said, you know, we have to choose not to be defeated, and that's the key. Face defeats, choose not to be defeated.
You know, part of my agenda with Breaking Through was to, look for more transformative and, perhaps enlightened ways of understanding the events of the world. You know, how would you, for example, what happened in Israel today, or what's been happening in Japan for the last several weeks, how would you hold these kinds of events, the kinds of things that we, and it could be actually on a personal side, the kinds of personal difficulties that we have to face, how do you hold these things in a constructive way, in other words, so that they don't drag people down, which is a common tendency, but to actually use them to uplift people if it's possible? How do we hold these events?
Yeah, it's so, that's such a difficult question, because, my heart really goes out to the people in Japan. It just seems like really every time you turn on the news, it's negativity. And I think part of really kind of going through the world as we're in it today, where we're inundated with really so much information, is partly remembering that your happiness is going to come from within. It's not going to come from without. And this is part of the message of my book, Daring to Be Different. I wrote this at 18 years old. And I talk about, your happiness and the key to your success really being what you already possess. And I think this is key to remember. The key to your success is what you already possess. And, it's natural, but unfortunately, we've looked everywhere else. We've looked to the internet, we've looked to friends, we've looked to family, when the key has been within us all along, our gift. And so I think when each person recognizes their gift and they begin to share that, you don't think about changing the world in grand scheme. Change yourself. And by doing that, you've changed the world. Become a better person yourself. Share your gift. And by that, you will add to this thing we call Earth and this community where, unfortunately, we are dealing with so many tragedies.
Clearly put. What I've seen of your performances, you're received in a very charismatic kind of a way by those in attendance. Your keynote speeches, certainly the valedictory address at Morehouse, your subsequent appearances at the celebrated forum, which is once again at Morehouse.
At Crown Forum.
The Crown Forum. It was a great speech. You know, how can you be safe from the sometimes egocentric attitudes and practices of charismatic leaders? I'm just saying that when we flash forward into your career in 10 or 15 years, how can you be assured that the kind of charismatic, you getting the question?
I definitely do.
How can you be guaranteed that you will not go down the path that, of arrogance, really, which seems to be waiting, at the end for so many of these people?
Well, I'd say a couple things to that. One, there's no guarantee because I'm human, and I think, we're all fallible, and I think that's the beginning of realizing that. I think also, life has a way of reminding you of where you stand. Mm-hmm. And I am not so thick-headed to not know that I am here because of something much bigger than myself. Mm-hmm. I mean, the doctors told my mother I wasn't supposed to make it. I mean, I wasn't even supposed to. And then when I did make it, they said I would never catch up with my peers. And they were right about that. I would never be on the level of my peers, and I never have been. They were right about that much. Mm-hmm. But, it's interesting that I think that, and this is, again, when I talk about the tragedies, the things that you go through, how that really adds to who you are. And so, even though last year was a phenomenal time, I graduated from the most prestigious law school in the world, I faced some very disturbing and some very low points. I mean, it was not even 2 months ago, I lost my grandmother, one of the closest people in my life. So, I continue to deal with tragedy and the same things that many other people do. And I think part of me remaining centered is remembering this could all be taken away just as easily as it was given, and that this is a gift, and that I am not here because of myself, and I'm not here to serve myself.
Where does the time go? We've been speaking with Darrell Bennett Jr., inspirational author, speaker, and one of a new generation of social entrepreneurs who hope they can make a difference in America and the world. And to you...
Well, can I say one thing for you? I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but I want to say to all the guests, they got to make sure, one, we talk about daily inspiration, check out my website, www.darrellbennett.com, 2 N's, 2 T's, 2 R's, 2 L's, that's darrellbennett.com. My book, Daring to Be Different, I have many more books coming out. So I look forward to sharing that with the world as this happens.
Did you get that, valued viewers? We want to hear from you as well at breakingthroughtv@gmail.com. Please note it's THRUTV. If you'd like to be on our show, please send us a video link to our email address. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And that's it for now. As we leave you, we ask, what will you do to break through? For our guest, Darrell Bennett Jr., for myself, W.J. O'Reilly, see you next time.
Welcome to the very first episode of Along with Claire. Over the course of this show, I'm going to be interviewing and showcasing artists who work in all kinds of different mediums. From rock music to sculpture, from dance to film, I'm looking to explore everything. And keep watching eGarage TV.
All right, we really need to find someone fierce today.
Yeah, someone uber sexual.
Our He-Man. Let's do it. New choice.
Really?
New choice. New choice. New choice.
I'm thin and I don't
New
have to
choice. New choice.
I am sexy because
New choice.
I'll
New choice. New choice.
New choice.
Sex awards and beauty contests, sure, I've won them. But this one, sexy and funny, now that's something to brag about.
New choice. He's the one. Oh, you're right.
I am standing here naked, you know this, right?
At Improv Nation, we strive to make humor sexy. From our performers to our jokes to our green gate, everything we do is to make you laugh. Funny and sexy only at Improv Nation and only at the eGarage.
Put them in the sky, get them high, 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 high. This moment is what destiny provides, so we fly, 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 fly.
Yeah. I'm getting nervous, am I discovering love again? Can I be certain of my emotions?
I'm what you never heard of, to be the song preserver. The ground won't let me sleep, too many beats to murder. That's what I'm supposed to do, these deadlines are approachable. This is what I'm coaching you, a war in the vocal booth.
Here to report on the current state of the nation's crisis is special Greek culture correspondent, Extra Greek Man.
It is excellent.
Recent studies show that saints do exist because Sarah Palin is quite obviously the reincarnation of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
A speech won't stop the ignorantly violent terrorists, but my gun will.
Where midgets are present.
If they were, I probably wouldn't do that joke.
Take me to where you make the cookies.
Midgets are very strong.
You delicious little Keebler bastard.
Like I said, they travel in packs.
I feel sometimes like if we had layoffs in my family, though, I would be the first to go.
How white are you?
My older sister has a good job and she's tenured. You know, my little sister is still in college, so she's an investment.
You are whiter than, like, Martha Stewart. Is that...
Martha Stewart went to jail.
I know, that's why you beat her.
I'm just gonna go at this point.
I'm a server at the Olive Garden. That's what they call it, serving. Some people join the army to serve their country. I joined the Olive Garden to serve Gladys, the 72-year-old soup, salad, and breadstick queen.
Work at the Olive Garden. You had jokes about that. Do you still do that?
No, I got fired from the Olive Garden.
Welcome to Long Island City, the new place for artists and the home of the E-Garage. We're ready to give the indie artists their chance to be heard. So follow me as I show you how to find the E-Garage. At E-Garage, you, the indie artist, can now have a performance space to call home. Whether you're a comedian, musician, or filmmaker, we have an opportunity for everyone to get stage time at the E-Garage. Here inside the E-Garage studio, you can come see many different performance opportunities. From a concert to a film screening to one of our live tapings, you can sit right here in our studio audience, which seats about 50 to 60 people. And I'm Megan Boyle. Be sure to check us out here at the E-Garage. We always have something being filmed and a chance for you to get involved as well. You can call us or email us at contacts@egarage.tv. Hope to see you soon. Be sure to check out our website and our schedule because there's always something happening at E-Garage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Power World. Hop the hands in the sky, stay head, hop, head, hop, 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 set my body, soul, I promise to hold,
the first of many, and we're going to bring some amazing music out.
And I'm staring at a hollow pot of soul. Trying God takes my name. Trying to make the same open saying in myself. But I like to hurt me on the lanes. Yeah, I don't hang with the clowns. Like, discuss new music wise. How we feel it. Plus, I don't know what the radio sound like. And it's me feel with me and it's in music. Dropping to my own thing. Ready to be to it. Plain dick, consuming dreams and slip in the pocket. Seen in the beat, shooting to the soul of Paul Stone in the beat. You could.
Like I said, social media, Twitter, Facebook, the whole nine, tell everybody about it.
Up on there, so Power Words Music Show.
Power Words.